What's up, everybody? It's Thursday, and it's time for Tower Talk, February 25th, 2021. I've been taking a little break from Tower Talk since news was thin last week, and we are coming roaring back today with one of the best updates that I have ever seen. So much good news. I sort of can't believe what I've seen today. But sit tight because I want to talk about the previous big announcement. This was made right before last week's TWAB, I believe. And man, there's big changes at Bungie right now. They're more than doubling their studio space, and there are big implications for Destiny, TV, movies, books, etc. With Luke Smith and Jack Noseworthy being appointed to oversee and prepare for the quote expansion of the Destiny universe into additional media, unquote. Now, I know that this is crappy of me, but I have to say I'm glad that Luke is out as development lead. It's sort of like George Lucas in Star Wars. Star Wars was wholly better off without Lucas directing, but largely operates using his original vision and guidance. And no one is arguing about that story, that vision, his ability to come up with this great action and struggle. But the fact is that the guy was not a great character director. And I feel like that sort of describes Luke Smith when it comes to Bungie. His overall vision of Destiny, the type of world, all of those creations wonderful, but when it comes to how the game works day to day, not such a great idea to have him making the decisions and holding the reins. And so, like Star Wars, being better off without George Lucas directly involved in that way, I expect a similar result for Bungie with Luke Smith moving the additional media wing of Bungie. There is still Bungie's own particular brand of BS that they force us through, but I honestly think we're headed for an unprecedented golden age for this game. I am really looking forward to what Justin will bring to the table. I can't wait to see. And actually, I had written most of that statement before, and it seems like those words were somewhat prophetic because fast forward to today, and we have the Destiny 2021 update, The Road to the Witch Queen. And I hope that you're all sitting down, that you've got your seatbelts fastened, because this is a pretty crazy ride. The first thing that's happening is they talk about the Witch Queen, Lightfall, and beyond. And I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing. We're going to break it down a little bit into an easier to listen to piece if you're not a wall of text kind of person. So let's see. Bungie said that they have realized as things have gone on that they're going to need an additional unannounced chapter after Lightfall to completely flesh out the first saga of Destiny. And I want to pick that apart a little bit. The most obvious thing is they're saying there's going to be another definite chapter after Lightfall. And then we have confirmation that Destiny itself does not end with Lightfall, number one, and that we're in the middle of a saga, a certain arc, which more than implies that once that arc concludes, we're going to set off on another arc. And, we don't know if that's going to be an actual new game release or what that's going to be. But the point being that we're in this light and dark saga right now. It was originally supposed to end with Lightfall, and now there's going to be an additional chapter before we close that out. So we're in the middle of Beyond Light now. We're going to have the Witch Queen. We're going to have Lightfall. And then we're going to have one more before we find out what the next saga will be. Much like Star Wars closing the Skywalker saga, we'll be turning the page after that expansion that comes after Lightfall. Very, very, very interesting. Further down, let's see. There was some good stuff in here. Beyond Light built the foundation and allowed us to weave the world building of Destiny and Destiny 2 together, but the Witch Queen will light the fire on a strongly interconnected narrative across Lightfall and beyond, unlike anything we've ever attempted before, with characters, arcs, heroes, and villains that persist over multiple future releases. Even more importantly, the conclusion of these releases will also conclude the Light and Darkness saga, the conflict we first introduced with the launch of Destiny many years ago. So I'm sitting here and, I always like to say, man, this release could be the next Taken King. But honestly, like, listening to what they are saying here, it is really starting to look like the Witch Queen could be the real Taken King of this era. And especially with all these, systemic changes that we're going to be talking about here as we go through this. Yeah, it's crazy. And then they go on to say, we wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves enough time to build out this journey in the right way, starting with an exceptional first chapter in The Witch Queen. I want to call out the next sentence. With Destiny now committed to being an everlasting evolving world. An everlasting evolving world. To me, that implies, like, wow, Destiny's just going to keep going. And that kind of makes me think that I'm not sure that there is going to be a Destiny 3. I'm not sure that it's necessary for there to be a Destiny 3. I'm just putting that out there. You can take that however you want to take it. So they go on to talk about the things they want to focus on, keeping the employees safe with, COVID-19 going on, and the overall health of their team, which means Bungie doesn't like doing crunch. They don't believe in it. So they wanted to make sure that both this year's updates and the Witch Queen were both delivered at the quality they strive for, and on a schedule that made sense for everyone involved. So what that means, basically, is that the launch of the Witch Queen is being delayed. It would have been on schedule for another winter release. Let's see, when do we get Beyond Light? In November. So it would have been another November release. And they are pushing the Witch Queen out to first quarter of 2022. That's the thing that really needs to be gleaned from that particular wall of text. And it's like, I gotta wait kind of a long time. But you know what? If the Witch Queen is going to be like just what it's implied to be here, I'm fine with waiting, man. And honestly, the rest of the news that we're going to talk about here very shortly, having to wait for the Witch Queen is the least of it. Like, that's fine. Take your time. It sounds like it's so very, very, very important. So, okay, I found the paragraph I skipped over that I wanted to read. We made the difficult but important decision to move its release to early 2022. And then they said the part about the unannounced chapter after Lightfall. So, yeah, I mean, like, that's some pretty dope news. I really, really like that. And then they said that they'll have more to share about the Witch Queen and beyond in the late summer of this year. So summer 2021, guys, we're going to get more info. Next section, rewards that matter. I'm going to TLDR this for you guys. Okay, and this is the part where I feel like you're going to need to sit down. Make sure that you're sitting down. They want to keep things fresh from release to release and create a healthy ecosystem for the aspirational content. They still believe in those goals, but they said, hey, we screwed up. The execution was off the mark. Now, we as players all know this. Even those of us that haven't overly had our feathers ruffled. I haven't been totally happy, but I haven't been, ultra sad face. I just haven't enjoyed it as much with things that have been happening. So, next paragraph. Infusion caps helped us meaningfully shift the meta in Beyond Light and create a rewards ecosystem that was manageable to balance and monitor. But the system has also made our rewards feel like they have an expiration date and have frequently made playing our legacy content feel shallow. We want the rewards you've earned in Beyond Light and its subsequent seasons to feel like valuable tools you can use in the incredible challenges you'll face in the Witch Queen. So we're making a change. Now, before I move on, I've got to say, we were definitely staring down this very strange barrel here, because I've already said to my friends over and over, and I've said it on here over and over, that the sunsetting has been a bummer. Probably the biggest bummer is that you get something new and cool, and you already feel the clock ticking on it. And alternatively, there are many weapons that I rolled one that felt good and never pursued another one because I felt the clock ticking on it. It was liberating, but more than liberating, it was just a huge bummer. And then I was deleting things early, like whole seasons early, because I knew, well, next season's the last season, and I've acquired this thing that's all right, so out with the old, in with the new that lasts longer. Like it was a really strange thing. And then I'm sure as planning and spin up for the Witch Queen has been happening, that Bungie's been looking at it and going, people have earned this crazy stuff, or like people have this loot from Deep Stone Crypt or whatever it is, and they're not going to be able to use it in the Witch Queen. And, whatever the Witch Queen is supposed to be, it must be awesome to the level at which it shone this light on the problem, even more so than the obvious immediate things that are happening to us right now. And so they've decided to make a change. They go on to say, make sure you're sitting down. Remember, hold on a second before I move on. Remember that Luke Smith said, sunsetting is here to stay, but we're looking at it. We're looking at refinements and tweaks, but it's here to stay. So now they go on to say, we've made the decision that any weapon or armor that can currently be infused to max power, in other words, anything that was not capped at the start of the current season where we are right now, anything that was still infusible as of day one of Season of the Chosen, will continue to be able to reach max power permanently. Starting in Season 14, we won't be capping the infusion on any weapons or armor that have not already reached the cap as of the start of Season 13, the current Season of the Chosen. This means you'll be able to take your Trustee, your Falling Guillotine, and all the high stat armor you've earned this year to take on the raid and the Witch Queen. Yes, my friends, Ding Dong Sunsetting is dead. And I find it extremely fascinating that Luke Smith is dev lead and he says, sunsetting is here to stay. And then Luke Smith is out as dev lead. He's going to be controlling the Destiny expanded media universe with Jack Noseworthy. And all of a sudden, sunsetting is gone, dead and buried. We hated it in Destiny 1, and it is gone. I get to keep my Ikelos weapons, my 7th Seraph SMG, my Falling Guillotine, all the ones from DSC that I'm just loving. I mean, my heritage will never die. And I can't even describe what this feels like. This tremendous weight that is off of me as a player. Not just trying to figure out what new thing to move to, but the pressure of constantly having to farm out something that works for me. Now, I know that for some people that means we're going to be back to sort of the same place where their loadouts aren't going to change, barring some kind of nerf or something strange. But I know for me, I always like to try the weapons that drop. And a lot of times, I'll get a shotgun and maybe, say it's kind of the same thing as Ikelos. We'll just put that out there. But because of the way it looks or sounds, I just might pick it up and at least use it for a little while. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do try new things. I don't know if everybody's like that, but I always give new stuff a try, because a lot of times you'll get stuff you like better. Gotta be honest. And they say here, we still strongly believe that Destiny needs a method to shift our meta in the game's most challenging activities, but they no longer believe that infusion caps are the right answer. We're taking time this year to research and validate a plan that creates a fresh and balanceable ecosystem for our most aspirational content, one that doesn't make our rewards feel like they have an expiration date. We've learned a lot this year and don't want to rush finding the best plan, so don't expect to hear anything more about this until after the Witch Queen. Because we won't be capping any more of our weapons, we must consider more variables in the game balance of our upcoming seasons and releases. So expect to see tuning when it comes to our biggest outliers in PvP and PvE. Yes, I'm looking at you, Fellwinters and Warmind Cells. So immediately we could say for sure, expect nerf to Fellwinters and Warmind Cells. Yeah, Warmind Cells are extremely strong. And I think that, I mean, look, while I love them and I will be sorry to see them kind of exit the throne that they sit upon right now, I think we can all agree that they've had their time in the sun at the height of their power. And I don't think you have to turbo nerf them, and whatever they reduce them to, they'll still be fun. They'll just no longer be king. And that's totally fair. But I would also say to Bungie, be careful, because like these new mods we got this season are sort of interesting, but I used a couple of them and I took them off. I didn't put Warmind Cells back on either, but I just took them off because I'm like, that ain't it, Chief. We need maybe more different charged with light things, and things that are cool like Warmind Cells that make us want to turn away from them specifically. And yes, like nerfing how strong global reach is, for example, would probably be a good idea. Just don't turbo nerf it. That's all I have to say. They've had their time. And I think, like with weapons, I think that's what we're going to see. We may not see, like, power capping anymore, but nerfing outliers so that people want to choose and try other things. Yeah, we're going to see that. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that I think I would still be okay with power capping a thing that's really a consistent outlier that just everybody uses that and nobody's putting it down. I would be totally fine with them saying, for example, okay, everybody is still using Falling Guillotine constantly. After the Witch Queen, it's going to be capped. I think there is room for selective sunsetting on certain things. But sunsetting as a practice doesn't belong here. I never liked it. Like, I fully understood what they were trying to do. I don't, like, hold that against Bungie in the slightest. But I always knew that it was going this way. And I always knew they were going to have to walk it back. And that if they didn't, we might really face some disaster, to be honest. You know, but I believe in Bungie, and they have proved that out to me today, honestly, just with this news about sunsetting specifically. This admission of their mistake, this plan for fixing it, is why I have faith in Bungie as a developer. So, next section, power play. Basically, the takeaway from this paragraph is that starting in Season 14, the power cap is only going to go up by 10 for each non-expansion season. So the annual release will still have the larger power climb. The seasons that launch during an expansion year. So we're in Beyond Light. Beyond Light launch has a climb of 50. But all the seasons within Beyond Light, you will only have a power cap rise of 10. So what that'll mean is that if you're at max power in Season 13, when Season 14 starts, you're already working on the pinnacle band of the power pursuit. You're just going to go straight to it. And I have to be honest. I think that that's the way. That's totally the play, Chief. You know, like, I have a lot of time to play because I'm single. You know, like, I don't have kids. I don't even have pets right now. And I can dedicate time to working on Destiny because of COVID. Like, what else am I going to do, right? That's my hangout space with my friends. So we've been keeping up with it. But I have to be realistic and say that, like, if my life was like it was before COVID, that climb is harsh. And I think keeping things in the pinnacle growth band and letting us turn our attention to other things, and I don't know, even having time for other games, is a really, really healthy thing. Save the hard grind for the annual expansion. The big jumps forward in story. You know? That should be familiar to anyone who played Season of the Dawn last year. Yep. And, you know, they're going to look and see how it feels alongside their other new systems. I think this is great. This is another thing that they've done that feels like a big weight off my shoulders. So I'm really happy. We believe this change will make it even easier to pick up and enjoy Destiny each season while still allowing us to have a deep RPG power pursuit when we launch the Witch Queen. Exactly. We don't need a plus 50 every 3 months. We just don't. Even you hardcores that like it, you don't need it. You don't need it. The next section was a lot of talking about PvP. The big takeaway here is that in Season 15, they're going to be addressing 3 peaking in Trials and Competitive. They are going to disable emotes in those modes, and you won't be able to take out any third-person weapons like swords if it doesn't have ammo. That is an excellent solution. And I am super, super happy about it. Third-person experiences are part of what make Destiny's gameplay feel so good, they say. But it was clear in our most competitive arenas that these mechanics were being used in ways that we did not intend. And this is great. This is exactly where we need to be. Let's see. And then they talk about a whole bunch of changes to stasis and light subclasses to give better overall balance in the Crucible. Across seasons 13 and 14, stasis is getting adjusted. And then they do break down the stuff by class. I'm not going to go into it because PvP is not that important to me. If you're curious about it, you can check this out. For Season 15, they're going to be looking at universal adjustments to stasis by increasing damage reduction when you're frozen to provide more survivability. Yeah. Because I can definitely see, like, I don't get frozen a lot because I don't play at a real high level. But I can imagine it's real no fun from the times that I have gotten frozen to be at the higher level and just having it happen constantly and it just being a death sentence that's delayed. You know what I mean? For sure. Following the stasis tuning in Season 15, they are also going to focus on the light subclasses and a set of targeted buffs for the most underutilized specializations. I'm really looking forward to that, to be honest. And they say the goal is to keep stasis feeling great in PvE and to bring its representation in PvP more in line with the other light-based abilities. So I'm curious how that's going to play out. Like, is Nova Warp going to get an adjustment? Because Nova Warp is actually pretty cool. It's hard to find a good reason to use it, am I right? Unless it's Mayhem. And then let's see, they want to introduce new perks that shift the meta in Crucible. They don't talk about really, like, specifically what they're thinking of, but I like that idea. It's cool to see it in there. At Season 15, we will also be looking to adjust overall ability usage rates to make sure guns and gunplay are always key to success in the Crucible. So, in other words, Bungie really does not want Crucible to be ability spam. I don't think any of us do either. So the focus needs to be on gunplay with abilities being supplementary. And we have definitely lost our way on that. Like, yes, you can be powerful, and it is a game about being like a space wizard, but that your wizard powers should not dominate Crucible. You should be relying on your gun and your abilities help you out if you're smart and you're savvy, right? So that's awesome. They do talk about what's going on as far as cheaters. Not going to dive into that. The next section that they go on to talk about is, first up, we're targeting an overhaul to the Trials of Osiris reward structure and matchmaking paradigms, to release before the end of this year. I want to pause here for a second. I had written down some notes about Trials, just to give you a little background. I remembered through talking to some friends that Trials had that bounty where all you have to do is complete games and rounds. You don't have to win. And at the end of however long, you'd get the 3-win reward, right? So we went in there to get the messenger. Astral Horizon was up last weekend. We got Astral Horizon. And, like, basically what my thoughts were on that is, man, the Trials bounty that gives 3-win gear for completing matches is brilliant. Like, we don't do Trials because it's been such an unfriendly experience, and being able to go in and get the messenger and get Astral Horizon, even though we, like, mostly got curb stomped, was super fun. We took a few rounds off of people, and it was a good time because we were rewarded for the time that we spent. And, like, whatever suffering we endured, which was not a ridiculous amount. It was totally reasonable. And we got some loot. Like, literally all it took to get us in there and to kind of shift our point of view was access to some loot. That's it. And I mean, Trials still needs to be more accessible, but that is definitely a decent start that sort of points toward what I'm going to read next here that Bungie says about Trials and what they're going to do. I still feel like card matching based on some kind of Trials skill rank system would be good, that flawless teams should be matched with other flawless teams only, and that I would like to see a match-made solo queue. Whatever that looks like adjusted for Trials. And you guys are going to flip because this was actually kind of prophetic too. So, Bungie says, with this update, we specifically want to target a few things. Improve the overall health of the Trials matchmaking pool, both by incentivizing a wider audience to engage and better defining separation of skill tiers. So, was that not what I was talking about? Some sort of skill-based thing. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to implement some kind of skill thing, but they're saying we want a way to define separation of skill tiers. Okay, so prophetic, because that's what I called for. Rebuild the Trials reward structure so that it encourages more players to stick to their active cards longer, because this is a problem too. People that are skilled resetting and farming low, right? Our current structure encourages a lot of recycling cards after a single loss, meaning the first games of your Trials card have a high chance of being incredibly challenging. We want to build a reward structure that continually pushes higher skill players to want to progress deeper into their card even after a loss, making 3 to 5 wins a more achievable goal for more players. That actually encompasses a lot of what I was talking about, and even like issues that don't necessarily affect me, but it will if I start playing Trials more because of these changes, right? Then this last one, my hair stood up when I read this. Investigate opportunities for solo players to participate in Trials regularly. We believe this will not only make the matchmaking pools healthier, I've been screaming about this for ages, but also will encourage more players to see what Trials is all about and hopefully form social connections with other PvP-loving Guardians. Yes, like, to me, solo queue Trials is brilliant. And there are going to be those times when, say, you want to get Astral Horizon or the new Igneous Hammer or whatever, and none of your friends are around, and it's the end of the weekend, and you're totally screwed. And it would just be nice for there to be a way for solos to go in there. Even if it was just a solos only. I think a solo queue, solos only Trials would be brilliant, and maybe, I don't know, rewards are adjusted to account for that. Maybe the the formed teams is where like the really really good payouts are, and it's diminished in solo. Like maybe you only have access to the 3-win award or something like that. But I don't know, maybe that's not even necessary, because I'm thinking to myself, dude, if you could go into a solo queue, okay, and it's rando solos versus rando solos, like you could go flawless and never say a word on the mic and have a great time. I think that's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. So I'm just saying, maybe it doesn't need to be gate kept at all. Maybe it's exactly the same thing, but it's just solo queue. But either way, they want to look into how to get solo players engaged in participating in trials. And obviously that implicates a way for them to do it without leaning on LFG, which is where we are right now. And it's a terrible experience. Don't do it. After trials, we will be targeting a similar in-scope refresh to Iron Banner. I like the look of that, and I believe that the solo queue that was implemented for Iron Banner was a pretty huge success. I mean, I love the solo queue for survival. The Iron Banner solo queue, again, is another great thing for me. I would really like to see that come to trials. I don't think we need to get overcomplicated with how to bring solo players into trials. Just give them a solo queue and let them go. And here's the other thing I say. This was something I thought of earlier today when I was talking to my coworker about it. Perhaps solo queue trials has its own specific passage, right? That doesn't necessarily do anything special. You just get that passage and you can go solo, right? We'll see. We will see. They go on to talk about the return of the Vault of Glass. Really interesting thing that they're saying, which is that it will be launching with a contest mode in the first 24 hours and a world's first race. This next part was interesting. Since this is a reprised raid, we're going to do world's first a bit different. Players looking to claim the belt will not only have to complete the raid, but also a curated list of challenging triumphs. So they can't just complete it again. And I think this is brilliant, because like, what if the guys that were the original world's first for Vault of Glass just came in there and got to plow through it again and that would be it? No. If they want to repeat, they got to complete these new curated triumphs. I think that's going to be cool. It's going to be fun to watch too. Let me tell you. We're getting into prophetic territory again here. One last thing. Before the end of the year, we are also looking to add a master version of Vault of Glass. We've been really excited about how Master and Grandmaster difficulty have altered Nightfall Strikes. We'd like all our future raid and dungeon content to offer Master difficulty versions, where players can earn Adept raid and dungeon gear. And while we aren't able to commit to a Season 14 timeframe for Master Vault of Glass, we do want to take the time to develop a sustainable structure that allows us to ship these closer together in the future. So there's a lot to digest there. But basically, in a nutshell, this is what I was saying about leave normal alone, make a hard mode, which we were already doing it in the Nightfall. You can have a master mode that, I don't know, maybe master is contest mode, adds a few modifiers because you don't have to change the raid to do that. And if you complete that, you get, adept raid and dungeon gear, like special shaders, emblems, whatever the heck it is, to show that you did it. And it's easy to implement, right, without like having to build 2 raids or 2 dungeons, because that was the issue before with hard mode, right? So that right there is exactly what I was saying would be great. They're going to do it. So, I mean, this is just win after win, guys. I mean, this is great stuff. Now, this next topic is something that I was concerned about. And that's the topic of transmog. And, I've been sort of fretting over transmog because we knew that one of the currencies for it was going to be silver. And I thought for sure that the other currency was going to be bright dust. That it was going to be hard to transmog without spending real money. And I mean, it might still be. It might still be, but I want you guys to check out what's going on here. So, in Season 14, next season, 801 is going to return to the tower, and with her comes the ability for players to take any armor they have in their collections and turn it into a universal ornament. In Destiny 2, we will call this transmog system Armor Synthesis. And this makes sense, right? Like, I was just thinking, bringing back 801 for this is brilliant. Because what does she do? She's the head of the Black Armory. The Black Armory is like forging stuff, right? So you go to Ada and you forge your thing, right? So that just like mentally makes really good sense. It's a great idea. This next part is what surprised the crap out of me. Every season, Ada will offer players a set of bounties that highlight various activity types. Players can complete these quests and receive the materials they need to power up Ada's loom, which can turn any piece of armor in your collection into a permanent universal ornament. Players short on time will also be able to purchase synthesis tokens for silver. So really, this is the best of both worlds. And I can tell you, like, probably here at first, just for the sake of cleaning out my vault, which I feel like is super important now that sunsetting is going away, I'm probably going to have to spend some real money to get my transmogging done. They did go on to say in here that they're going to front load us with some synthesis tokens at the beginning of the season so that we can try everything out. My suspicion is that it's 5 armor pieces worth of synthesis tokens. I guess it's probably only going to be 1 front load per account, but you can always hope that it's enough for each character you have. I doubt it, though. So you guys better start thinking about what it is that you might want to do first, because you're basically going to get that as a freebie, and then you're going to have to earn the rest or spend real money. But it's just, what's important to me is that I was really freaked out that it was going to be Bright Dust, which basically would force you to move to silver. And they haven't done that. And yes, we don't know, what these bounties entail, how hard they're actually going to be. But the point is that you can earn your way to the transmog that you want to do. And like me, I'm already planning on budgeting some real-life money for silver so that I can get my vault cleaned out. It's a worthwhile investment to make in the game. And then, from there, it would be easy. I can just transmog as I go, anything that needs it. Most of the time, the ornaments that I earn from the reward track are kind of what I hold on to as my memento of a given season. But, like, with Season of Arrivals, the Titan armor from that season, I wore a mixture of the ornament and the base armor. So, like, there's, like, a couple pieces of that Titan suit that I need to transmog to retain that look, right? I don't really need to keep that holdfast armor at all. But I just want to be able to slap the ornaments on and have the look, And I can get rid of the armor, it doesn't matter. So, getting that done is going to be worth it for me. Let's see, did they say anything else in this paragraph? They were just talking about how it was going to work. Oh, okay, guys, so next bombshell. To make it even easier to try out a bunch of new looks in Season 14, we've also added shaders. We've also changed shaders to be permanent unlocks, meaning you no longer will need to hold on to stacks of shaders in your inventory. Jesus Christ and all of his disciples, why did it ever become a consumable? And thank God we're getting rid of that, and shaders will be permanent again, just like back in the day. Because truly, that's one of the worst systems that we've had, like, this whole time, and we're finally banishing it to the void, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, I'm telling you guys. Let's see. What else? Oh, there's some important notes here at the bottom. So, remember that crossplay is coming in Season 15. You'll be able to play with all your friends no matter what platform they're on. And they said, don't worry, we won't be matching console and PC players together in the Crucible unless PC players specifically invite their console friends to play with them in those PC Crucible pools. So it's not going to happen by accident. There's no toggle that you have to remember to click. It will not happen unless your PC friend invites you. Okay? Likewise, it might be super fun to invite your PC friend to own the noobs. Right, guys? This next bit, if you're fond of characters and you care about them, is exciting. Some of you have noticed that Ikora Rey has not been nearly as present recently in Destiny. We've missed her as well. Not only will you see Ikora again in Season 14, but she will be playing a pivotal role in the Witch Queen. I am so excited about this, and I really hope that this means we get lots of juicy voice performance from Gina Torres, because I've been a fan of hers for a very long time. I have always loved that she's Ikora Rey, and now we're putting Ikora back front and center for an expansion that could literally be one of the best expansions in Destiny history, if any of this stuff is any kind of indication. Let's see. Oh, check this out, guys. Another bombshell. They're saying Stasis will continue to evolve into a fully supported damage type in Season 15. We will introduce our first round of legendary Stasis energy and power weapons. I was hoping for this to come, because we haven't quite gotten there yet. But, like, basically, once there's Stasis weapons, Stasis could be its own rotation, like in the weekly strikes challenge and stuff, instead of sort of being randomly incorporated on a day during the week. And there's just so many possibilities for that kind of thing. Like, what's a Stasis auto rifle like? That could open just this amazing can of worms, and I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. And they're going to make another addition to the title gilding system in Season 14. Next season, Phase 2 of gilding titles will roll out. Your gilded title will display how many times the title has been gilded in the past. So that's kind of cool. So you can keep gilding that thing and make that number nice and big to show off to your friends in the tower. There's also a cool rough concept render of the armor for the Witch Queen. I know a lot of people are excited for it. I hate it and will not be keeping it. But I can objectively step back and say that I like the idea of it, and who knows? This is a very early render, right? By the time we get there, could be super dope. I really like the idea of it, so we'll see. And that's everything for the massive, epic, totally juiced out Destiny 2021 update. So I hope you all are as excited about all of this stuff as I am, because this is huge, huge, massive news. So moving on to this week at Bungie, there's not a lot of extra stuff for us to call out. Basically, the TWAB starts off with them saying, hey, go read the Destiny 2021 update. So, just to TLDR that for you, we had news about the Witch Queen's release date, Lightfall and Beyond, power and how it raises season over season, no additional infusion caps, goals for PvP, class balancing, changes to trials, info about the Vault of Glass, the new transmog system called Armor Synthesis, and more. So much good stuff in there. Such a great TLDR recap. Let's see. Diving deeper into the Deepstone Crypt. I don't know about you guys, but I am super pumped for this upcoming deep dive into the Deepstone Crypt. I have enjoyed the crap out of that raid. I've done it probably 35 times now? I don't know. I'm over 30 anyway. Completions, and I just love it. And they're going to be playing through the raid and providing commentary on how it was made. I love it when they do these. Actually, one of my favorite deep dives was the one they did where they talked about Whisper and Zero Hour. So, very much looking forward to this one. The Deepstone Crypt developer deep dive is going to be on Wednesday, March 3rd at 10 a.m. Pacific. They're going to be streaming it both on their Twitch channel and on YouTube's Bungie channel. So, don't miss that. I'm going to be at work, but you can bet your butt that I'm going to watch it when I get home. They're going to have folks from design, art, visual effects, narrative, all kinds of different stuff. So that is going to be super duper awesome. Let's see. Just scrolling down here and checking out what we got. They were talking about that they're looking at adjusting the drop rate for the ritual weapons. Definitely need to, because I know I've only gotten one of the new Vanguard Scout. That drop rate is like, yeah, they want you to grind for it, but it's ultra low. Like, as many strikes as I've done, and I've only gotten one. That doesn't seem right to me. And while we're at it, can I also call out that I'm pretty sure the drop rate for Eyes of Tomorrow is completely friggin' broken, because I've completed Deepstone Crypt, like I said, over 30 times now. Most of those were eligible for an Eyes of Tomorrow drop, and I still don't have it. So Bungie, please look at that and fix, because there's no way, with that still at 50-50, that my coin keeps coming up tails instead of heads, man. There's no way. Let's see. Any known issues that we want to look at right now that matter? Let's see. No, it does not look like there's anything else we want to cover there. I do have a few more talking points that I want to go over. We already talked about what I had to say about Trials and what my ideas were, and the exciting things that Bungie has decided to do with Trials that really do line up with my vision, so that's all great. I've been having so much fun with the Nightfall weapons, guys. Like, it has taken me back to the thing that I used to do in the original Destiny a lot. Just like solo queuing with randos and having a great time. I had so much fun going back to like just doing Devil's Lair over and over and over again. And then, you know, we've been doing the other couple Nightfalls that have rotated in since then to try to get Palindrome and Shadow Price. And I've been trying to get Swarm this week. Haven't gotten it to drop yet. And I have to say too, by the way, that I really love that we're getting cores and prisms and exotic engrams at a fairly regular rate at the hero difficulty, which is still match made. So you can get in there, like, you got a chance at the weapons, it's only about 10%, but you're getting the materials too while you're completing, which is super important. And then, you know, you bump it up to legend and you're getting even more of those things, plus the better drop rates. And I just want to say I really like going back to grinding Nightfalls to get stuff. Please, more like that. Love it. The new grenade launcher, Salvager Salvo. Is it the Mountaintops heir apparent? It certainly seems so. And I don't know how y'all are running yours, those of you that have gotten it, but I've got mine on Demolitionist Chain Reaction. It seems to me that there is no other choice besides Chain Reaction. And by the way, if you haven't put Dragonfly spec on it, guess what? It does work. My suspicion is that Chain Reaction is actually just Dragonfly under the hood, but it procs on kill and not just a precision kill, but it's literally the same thing, which is why Dragonfly spec works with it. So if you want a bigger boom from your Salvager Salvo, make sure that you put Dragonfly spec on it or you're missing out. And I actually saw somebody say something interesting where they actually compared Salvager Salvo to Loaded Question. And I was like, yeah, man. Like, that's totally accurate. And Loaded Question, by the way, is a gun that I miss. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking about it today, you know, because it's sunset for good. It's part of the old batch that's not coming back, and I'll never get rid of that thing, because sometimes, man, sometimes it's fun to go on a strike and just whoop that thing out. I'm just saying, you gotta try it if you still have it on you. Let's see. The Presage Exotic Mission. I mean, honestly, guys, how blessed have we been with these exotic missions? And I mean, Hawkmoon was good, but Presage, man, the whole ghost ship thing, and the way that you go through with buffing yourself with the blooms, and you got to find the switches to hit so that you can shoot the fuse, and like, oh my god, the garbage compactor scene, such a great nod to something iconic from science fiction, but also like making it their own. Man. And I want to say, too, that the way that they made normal and master different this time, I really approve of. You can go in on normal and have a great time, and it's challenging because I think it's got that thing where enemies are always like +10 to make it tough. But there's no timer, so you can explore and you can make sure that you get the weapon and you can enjoy the experience. And I know I'm going to be going back in on normal so that I can find all the scannables. That's another thing. There's this story that's being told here where we get more and more stuff that we can explore for every week. It's not a one and done or just a grind for a catalyst or whatever. There are things to actually look for and find, and there's different dialogue and there's all this stuff. So I really like this evolution that has happened yet again from, Whisper in Zero Hour to Hawkmoon to Presage. It's really, really something I like. And, if you want to be challenged, we have the Master Presage. That's how you get the Catalyst. It's got a timer, but it's 25 minutes this time. Yeah, I do have one thing to say, though. I have a suggestion if we're going to be doing timers for these missions, even if it's only part of the higher difficulty, which is make it like the Legend and Master Lost sectors, okay? When the timer runs out, you have, no revives, or you can team wipe, let's say, and that ends the mission instead of the timer running out and just pulling us out of the mission. Nobody likes that. Nobody liked that about Nightfalls. Honestly, nobody liked it about Whisper in Zero Hour either. And it showed up again in Presage because somehow, Bungie thinks that that's a good idea for a piece of hard content to create this urgency and this race against the clock. And I'm just telling you, man, the timers gotta go, or if you're gonna keep them, do it like the Master and Legend Lost sectors. Because there's a consequence when you've taken too long, but it doesn't just yank you out of the mission, because that's super frustrating, especially if you're struggling with getting it done and you're trying to learn what's happening. It would be more valuable to let us continue, but with major consequences. And, what was it? Somebody was saying, even if the timer runs out, have Extinguish turn on, or something. That's pretty extreme, but still. If anybody dies, the mission's over. But yeah, make it a darkness zone where you could team wipe. Make it so you can't revive anyone. I think it would be interesting. I'm just going to say this. I think it would be interesting to just make it so that you can't revive anyone once the timer runs out. So effectively, you would have a team wipe, but also no revives, like in a raid when you're out of revive tokens, right? I think that's a freaking great idea. So, you're the last guardian standing, and it's all down to you. And if you can pull it off, by all means. But if you can't, the mission ends. I think that's it right there. I think that's money. That's the juice. So, and then the reward for the Presage mission, Dead Man's Tale. Oh boy, is this a weapon that I'm in love with? I'm. If you know me, you know I'm partial to the Wild West, and I've always loved the Tex Mechanica weapons in Destiny because they're very Wild Westy and cool, but with a future technological sort of hybridization, right? And we have this great rifle now that looks like a friggin' space Winchester, and with the anti-barrier scout mod this season, oh my gosh, you can burn certain yellow bars down, and even tough ones. If you keep getting the precision hits and that damage stack hits, I use that thing against vehicles, I use it against champions, I use it against all kinds of yellow bars. Dead Man's Tale is one of my favorite weapons now, and I can tell you something. Whenever scouts are part of the meta, whether they're anti-barrier, overload, whatever it is, I'm going to be strapping on Dead Man's Tale for some of those high-end activities with champions. It's such a good gun. And I wanted to point something else out, too, for those of you that are nervous about the Dead Man's Tale Catalyst. They make it sound like the way to advance the Catalyst is to continue to do the Master Presage mission, and that is not true. I can confirm that for you. You have to do Master Presage to get the Catalyst, and yes, there are chests in Presage that will give you chunks of progress, right? Increased progress. But just getting kills with Dead Man's Tale anywhere, not in Presage, anywhere, will advance the Catalyst. And I figured it'd be some, like, ridiculously high number. It's not, because, okay, my run where I got the catalyst gave me 13% progress, so you get, like, 13% per week for completing it. And then, I just was using it, like, doing strikes and stuff, and not even that many, and I'm up to 50-something%. So it's not even, like, 1,000 kills or something stupid like that. It's very attainable. Like, if you can get through Master Presage one time, get the catalyst, you can just go kill stuff anywhere in the game and you'll finish it. So know that. I want you guys to know that. Another thing I want you to know is that if you're not great at jumping, you know, there's that jumping puzzle at the beginning of Presage, and it's not that hard, but if you struggle with jumping, you can stay there where you spawn in at the door to the ship, the one that's locked. Your friend that's good at jumping can do the jumping puzzle and go inside the ship, and they can open that door for you. You just hang out right there, your friend opens the door, you're on your way. I actually, like, have it in my last video that I did of the Master Presage, because my Titan pal yeeted me off the platform, and I died, and I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna, like, try to jump through this again and be behind. I'm just gonna wait for you at the door. And you can see he opens the door for me, and we're fine. So, know that, guys. You don't have to do the jumping puzzle if you're bad at it. Only one guy has to get through. I love seeing that evolution, too, because, you know, Whisper was what it was, and it was hard. 0 Hour had the switches you could hit to extend platforms for your friends, and that same idea is part of Presage. And it's like, if you can find the switch, you can make it so that your buddies that aren't good at jumping puzzles can just skip it. It's just somebody has to get through, but it can be skipped. So, and we definitely have a couple people like that in our party, so it's nice to be able to do that for them and help them get these things. Okay, everybody, that's going to do it for this edition of Tower Talk. Everybody, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Be excellent to each other, and I will see all of you Starside.